What I love about pellet feeders is on small commercials like this one we're at today, you've got an island that's sort of 25, 30 metres, and they're brilliant for punching tight into the island. The fish on commercials love being right against that bank, shallow water, and they'll feed confidently. With a pellet feeder, everything's enclosed, presentation of bait's perfect, and you can get really tight, and that's going to catch you more fish. The hybrid pellet feeders come in 3 sizes: small, which is 30 gram, medium 35 gram, and the large, which is 40 gram. Which you use realistically depends on the venue you're fishing. Take today, for instance, I've got a short chuck, don't want to create loads of disturbance, so I've gone with a small 30 gram. But on a bigger water, when I want to get more bait in, then I'd go up to the large 40 grams. So it's all about thinking about the venue you're going to be fishing and how much bait you want to introduce. As for the feeders themselves, they come in line. So they comply with all fishery rules. There's no fishery that doesn't allow inline feeders. But on fisheries that do allow elastic or the X-Safe system, all you have to do, pop out the stem, the inline stem, grab yourself an X-Safe stem. I've got the black, the heavy elastic there, just fits straight in. I mean, there's 2 choices of elastic, and again, it depends on the size of fish I'm fishing for. Today I've used the short white stem purely because I'm looking for F1s and small carp. But on bigger waters with bigger fish, then I'd put the longer black stem in, just a bit more power. But what I do like about the elastic is it helps to minimise hook pulls, particularly around the net. So where allowed, I'll always go for elastic. But the beauty of the hybrid pellet feeder is you've got both, as in line, get yourself the X-Safe stems, and you've got elastic as well. So there you go, the hybrid pellet feeders, deadly effective as you can see today. So why don't you get out and give them a go? One of the great things about the X-Safe system is it allows me to quick change my feeder. So for speed, in either like a match fishing situation or even if you're pleasuring, all you have to do, you've got a little, what I call a tail rubber at the top, pop the cap like so, got a loop in my main line, ping it off the clip. So you put the empty feeder down, and in my bait tray, got one that's fully loaded, through the loop like so, tail rubber down, feeder's ready to go, I can cast straight back out. Something you might notice with the new pellet feeders is the fact they've got what we call open front design. What this means is, A, they're easier to load. Obviously you've got the narrow taper at the feeder and the wide bottom, so you push your pellets into the narrow bit, gives them a bit of grip, and then at the front, nice and open front. The pellets are going to break down quicker, your hook bait's going to be free a lot quicker, and quick bites are a feature of pellet feeder fishing, so sooner your hook bait's free, the better as far as I'm concerned. So that's the open front design. Something else the open front design gives you is what I call weight forward. So there's 2 advantages to this. Firstly, accurate casting. Now if you're casting to islands, accuracy is vital, and the weight forward design means the feeder flies nice and straight and true. Just means you can be that little bit more accurate. A second benefit to having the weight at the front of the feeder is when a fish does pick up the hook bait, first thing it feels is the heaviest part of the feeder. That's going to pull the hook home, and you're going to get more bites as a result. It stops the fish getting away from it. That's the way I look at it. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, and something we've spent a lot of time looking at, is the position of the vents on the feeder. One of the issues with pellet feeders perhaps in the past has been getting your pellets to break down, fine loading them in, but I want a nice quick breakdown. Remember, the water's shallow, so I want all my pellets broken down within sort of 10-15 seconds of the feeder hitting the bottom. So we've got vents on the top. They also give a little bit of grip as well when you're loading the feeder, just by the stem as well, sides, and even we've got some nice little holes at the bottom. So there's plenty of room for the water to get in, do its stuff, and get them pellets breaking down. One other little feature which is well worth a mention, a lot of the time when you're fishing close to an island or up to boards, etc., you're fishing on a slope, so what you don't want is your feeder to move. If your feeder moves, it pulls your hook bait away from the loose offerings, and you're losing the attraction. The idea with a pellet feeder is your hook bait's in amongst the loose offerings, carp or F1 or bream or whatever comes in, eats the loose offerings, and the hook bait's in amongst them. So got some little feet, as I call them, just gives a little bit more grip. So even if you're fishing on a slope, you've got the grip of the feeder, fish it nice and slack. The feeders are quite heavy anyway. Everything's going to stay in the right position, hook bait's in the loose feed, and you're going to get more bites. Bait-wise, by far the most popular bait to use in the pellet feeder is, as the name suggests, pellets. Take today, I've got some 2mm coarse pellets. They're the size I'd say I use for 90% of my pellet feeder fishing. Just been pre-soaked, nice soft and spongy, but still going to break down. That said, you don't have to use 2mm pellets. What I've got here is some wetted up 3mm. You can use up to 4mm. 4mm pellet will still wet down nice and soft. What determines what size pellet I use depends a little bit on the venue. If small fish are a problem, so there's lots of nuisance skimmers, then I'll often opt for 3 or 4mm pellets in the feeder. Again, they've just been wetted up with water, nice and soft, going to go in the feeder, hold in, but still break down. Another bait you can use, which is perhaps not as fashionable as it was, but it's still as effective, just ground bait. It's got a fish meal based ground bait, nice and fine. You can plug that in the pellet feeder, very good for skimmers and bream. And sometimes at the right time of year, F1s absolutely love ground bait. On the subject of hook baits, there's loads you can try. It's totally personal preference. Got some dead maggots. What I tend to find with dead maggots is, if I'm chucking in really shallow water and I can see the fish on top of my feeder, 3 or 4 dead maggots on the hook is a brilliant bait. Just seem to home in on it a little bit quicker. But probably my go-to bait, and I've got an assortment of sizes in the pot, just a hard pellet, just hair rigged on a band, blends in with the loose pellets, just more likely to get a bite. It's just a banker bait. Lastly, wafters, probably the most popular bait on the match scene at the moment. Got them in a variety of colours, smaller sizes to suit. Pellet feeders are a little bit smaller, a little bit more refined, so a smaller hook bait. Nice, bright, visual standout bait. So if a fish comes in, it's going to home straight in on the hook bait and you're going to get a quick bite. So that's the baits. Load in the feeder. All I like to do, take the feeder in my right hand, pick up a good pinch of pellets, push them up inside the feeder. And I just used to use my finger just to create a flat spot on the bottom. And I drop my hook bait on top, literally like so. A few more pellets on top, just to cover it up. I'm not worried about it being too neat. You're not getting marked by the fish once it hits the bottom out of 10, so it doesn't have to be too neat. Hook bait's at the front, so it's fully loaded now, just capped it off. But as the water attacks it, the first thing that comes out, those last few pellets and the hook bait. So straight away you're fishing and you've got a great chance of a quick bite.